Content disclaimer. The views, comments, and opinions expressed by guest speakers or authors on this YouTube channel do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcasters and its sponsors. Parental guidance is advised. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachers, scholarship, education, and research. For fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed.
Did you ever wonder if your birth date holds information about your destiny? Why you keep seeing the same number or several numbers? Welcome to Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. I am your host, King Simon. Numbers are not here to control you, they're here to give you guidance. It's time for you to be able to read the numbers.
On Saturday, September 23rd from 2 to 8 p.m. at the Alkaline Oasis in Brooklyn, Baba Ashraf Kwesi and Mira Kwesi returns to Brooklyn, New York after 4 years. Get your early bird tickets right now by Texas 347-496-1022. Remember, they'll be teaching about the ancient history of Africa, Kemet, and also they're going to touch on Cleopatra. So get your tickets 347-496-1022.
It's the numerovational session with King Simon. Text your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. And get my books on Amazon now.
Life is one big road with a lot of signs, signs and more signs. You got to make up your mind to face reality all the time, yeah. Life is one big road with a lot of signs, signs and more signs. You got to make up your mind to face reality all the time, yeah. Life is one big road with a lots of signs, signs and more signs. You gotta make up your mind to face reality all the time, yeah. Big up to my late great friend. Well, I believe I got to see him in concert before he transitioned. His name is Tenor Saul. Life is one big road with a lot of signs, signs and more signs. You gotta make up your mind to face reality all the time. Happy September the 6th, 2023. And when you add September, the 9 plus the 6 plus the 2 plus the 0 plus the 2 plus the 3, it adds up to 22. So this is a very interesting day because 22, as those who study the science and the metaphysics science of numbers, is a master builder, master number. So today universally is a master builder day, a master number day. Happy birthday to Dr. MJ, Dr. Mala, aka Makeba Judge. Happy birthday to Idris Elba. Today is Idris Elba's birthday. Happy birthday to a dear friend of mine who I've been texting back and forth. Dr. MJ, of course, and also I text Cleopatra, Sister Cleopatra. And also happy birthday to Foxy Brown, who's also an old friend of mine. We used to live on the same neighborhood. You know the rap artist Foxy Brown. She's born September the 6th also. So big up to them. As you can see, the theme is called Signs of Numbers, Frequencies, Positive and Negative. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, because we are at what we call the crossroads, there's a crossroads going on, and I want people to be clear about that. There's a crossroads. Since 2022, the crossroad numbers in one of the middle of the road crossroad numbers is the number 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are the crossroads. So right now, as we're still in 2023, because 2023 adds up to 7, that is a crossroad reminder that we have to cross the road. We can't stay in the middle. Either we're going to be productive or we're going to be unproductive. Either we're going to be healthy or we're going to be unhealthy. Either we're going to be strive to be better or we're going to be not better. This is a crossroad, and these crossroads been in effect for 4 years. The next form of crossroad is the 8 and the 9 year. Now that is a definitive crossroad. 2024 and 2025 is going to allow us or remind us to be very discerning about who, what, and where are assets in our life, and who, what, and where are liabilities in our life. Both positive and negative. Y'all gonna have to look at the people around you. You're gonna have to look at the job that you're at. You're gonna have to look at the diet that you're under to recognize what are assets and what are liabilities in your life, and who should be in there, what should be in there, and where you should be in life. These are just the themes and the signs of the numbers that I'm talking about. Even when you start seeing massive arguments and disagreements or people getting attacked in multiple ways. Now, it happens all the time, but when it becomes a big news story, that's the signs of certain frequencies that are showing its face in a negative, because from my studies of numerology, the most argumentative numbers on its negative is the number 9, the number 8. Those are the primary numbers, number 9 or 8, or you can put 8 or 9. Those are the primary numbers of arguments. Then it comes down to the number 4. Then it can come down to the number 3 or the number 1. Before the number 3 or the 1s, number 4, 3, and 1. So 8, 9, 4, 3, and 1. The only reason 8 and 4 get caught up in a lot of arguments because sometimes they're very misunderstood by people. And in their misunderstanding, because people either misunderstand them, people can get into certain contentions. But the primary numbers, if you have a lot of 8s or 9s in your charts, like right now we're in a 9-month, and that whole situation, what happened in Houston, Texas, is people are arguing over those type of things. We're in a 9-month. We're in a 9-month cycle. September is considered a 9th month, although it means the number 7. But also remember what I said. The sneak peek months is letting you know of what is to come. So the sneak peek months is September. If the sneak peek months is September, October, November, and December, then guess what? The sneak peek month of the next year to come is the number 8 year come. So 8 is also another argumentative number. So we got to look out and be a little bit more mindful of the frequencies of the energy that people may tend to go to. I am going to continue to promote the positive. And that's why I purposely took down the Rick James clip that I put up earlier this week. Although it was funny, but it was not funny. Because Rick James really didn't need to do that, but he was under the influence, and that's how he is. That's how he was. And I did make a comparison and said, if me and him is born the same day, same month, and he's older than me, but his life path adds up to an 8. And I know, and that's 8 again is an argumentative number. My life path is an 8. So I had to learn to curb my arguments and learn to be very balanced. And when I'm getting into any contention, I like to diffuse the arguments more now than I did back in the day, because we can get into arguments. And if I was under drugs and that kind of influence like Rick James was, I know I would be crazy just like Rick. So I took that because of he calling that lady behind the scenes, who up to this day, I don't know which lady he called. I don't know if it was black. I don't know if it's white. I don't know who he called a bitch, a biatch. I don't know who he called it, but I had to take that down. I took that down because I believe that's promoting more destructive mindset to people. I had to take that down, and I took down the African guy and how he treated the girl at dinner, where he thought he wanted to be a boyfriend, and she said, "Oh, your brother to me." He said, "Well, you go home." I took that down because that is because if you're taking out a friend, if you invite a friend out, I'm going to pay for the dinner, or the friend will pay for the dinner. If it's a friend, if it's a brother, if it's a sister, you pay for each other's dinner. If she don't have it, you pay for it. If I don't have it, they pay for it. That's the mindset that I'm on now, because we have to offset the negativity. Because the more negativity we allow and we join in, is the more that it will become even stronger. And then the negativity will appear to be stronger than the positivity, when there's really still a balance on this earth. It's just that more negative is being promoted out there in the world. So the signs of the numbers is showing me. I'm seeing it. I'm dreaming about it. I'm being aware of it. And I want to let people know. And if you want to share this video, because we always say numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie at all. Numbers don't lie. Now, people can manipulate statistics and computer numbers and all that kind of stuff, but numbers do not lie. Its purest form is to reveal, not to conceal. And in its purest form, it's there to give you guidance, to keep you alert on what's happening and how to, just like a friend of mine's son transitioned. He actually got taken out. And when I looked at his numbers of the day and the frequency and the month that he was in, he should have stayed in his house and not go somewhere. And when he did go outside to go meet somebody at some place, he got taken out. They were setting him up, because he was in a 7 personal day or 7 personal month cycle. And when 7 shows up, 7 is one of those numbers on the negative of secrecy, or secrets being talked about you, or you needed to be in a secret space, or be to yourself, or reflect and be able to read your intuition and pay attention to you. So when you're in a 7 cycle, whether it's a 7 cycle day, 7 cycle month, you have to monitor your mind and make sure you're not doing things that you're not doing things for other people, but you're doing things for yourself. And that person should have stayed in his home, because 7 is one of those numbers that say, I need to take a sabbatical. I need to be to myself. I need to be quiet and listen to the signs, listen to the voices. And sometimes, as young people, we don't listen to those voices. A perfect example, if you watch the Tupac film, the Tupac biopic, before Tupac went downstairs, and he's born on the 16th. And remember, in compound numerology, 16th is a number of fatality. Let me say that again. The number 16 is the number of fatality according to compound numerology. So if it's a number of fatality, anybody connected to the 16, that 16-7 energy, if they don't pay attention, the only way you could avoid the fatality is pay attention to your intuitive thoughts and plan what you're doing, or you plan to fail in what you're doing. Plan what you're doing, or you plan to fail on what you're doing. That's how powerful these number frequencies can be, and their combinations. So it's very important. Very important. Like and like I said, the signs of the number frequencies, both positive and negative. You got to pay attention to your own signs and your own frequencies that are telling you something on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. So what you're going to be seeing from the negative, you're going to see the arguments come out. You're going to see man and woman arguing about a situation that just took place. And it's not coincidence that it happened in Houston, because Houston is connected to the number 1 energy in the Chaldean system. So Houston, Texas is a lead at that. And 1 can be one of the most prominent argumentative numbers, because sometimes 1 says what they mean and mean what they say, like the number 9. They say what they mean and mean what they say. But the most dominant argumentative numbers is the 8, 9, 3, 1, and 4. Those are the dominant numbers in that. So it is very important that we learn to understand these different things and study and research. Gotta study and research, because not everything is going to be in a book. Sometimes the books are introductory to where you need to go, because in all of my books, especially the Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated, and Numerovation for Mental Stability, I point out the positive and negative, but a lot of stuff is downloads. A lot of stuff is recognizing the cycles, because people think they're going to get it in one book. You're not getting it in one book. You're never going to get anything in one book. It's like studying IT. You don't, if you go to an IT class, they might give you one book, but after that year, that IT class book might be null and void, and they might have another edition, and there's another edition, and there's another edition, because there's always new information coming. There's always new information. Whether we believe nothing's new under the sun, there's always new information. So a lot of the things that I say when it comes to numbers, I'm pointing out frequency, because I'm connected that way. I'm connected, and anybody can be connected. You just have to be willing to do the research for yourself and understand the patterns and cycles and sequences, not just of yourself and your family, but the whole planet, when it comes to certain numbers appearing. So I believe that, in the dojos back in the day, now, that guy, it wasn't right that guy hit the woman in the head with a brick. It's not right for anybody to hit anybody in the head in the brick, especially when they're just talking. When you're just talking, we ain't into all of that. But in the dojos, man and woman are training. And man and woman have the propensity to kill each other, because they learn how to fight. What's up, Bam? Man and woman learn how to train. They train. So in the dojos, Dr. Powell, Anthony Muhammad, Soki Littlejohn, if anybody attacked us, male, female, dog, cat, all of that, we had to take care of business. Because if you, and that's why I implore that women learn to train. I implore children learn to train. I implore men to train. Although men are supposed to be protectors of the community, this is a different time right now, where the protectors of the community, the so-called protectors of the community, which are us, and I'm not saying every man, but the protectors of the community, which are supposed to be the men, a lot of them has taken on the mentality of something else that is not being protective of our women and our children. So it's important that women learn how to defend themselves. I don't care how small you are. I don't care how large you are. I don't care how small you are. I don't care how large you are. it's important that you take your children to a martial arts class or a self-defense class or a weapons class or whatever. I don't care how large you are or how small you are, because I personally would never allow a woman to get hit by a brick, no matter how much she's talking and all that. She could be an antagonistic, and some women do antagonize a man to do certain things to them, but they do not deserve to get hit. And like I said, the signs of the number frequency 8 is strong. The signs of the number 9, because this is a 9th month and we're starting to feel the effects of an 8 frequency, and the negative of that can be misunderstandings, attacks, fights, people getting hit, people getting attacked by weapons, all that kind of stuff. Because right now we're in the crossroads. And even the number 7 energy, 2000, and like I said, the crossroad months, the main crossroad numbers are the 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we've been in the crossroads of the universal number of the year since 2020. Since 2020, we've been in the crossroads. So there's a lot of things that we have to cross reference, cross understand, cross the road, especially when it comes to heightening our vibration to be our very best in this realm. So I want the people out there to promote more of your positive. Don't jump. I'm not going to jump into the negative of that, because then I was listening to Tariq Nasheed, and he's quick to say, oh, she's a non-FBA, and he's a not. See, all of that. Melanin is melanin. Black is black. Melanin and melanin is to me. Now, how they was raised and how they was grown up in Jamaica, where my family from, we wasn't taught to go and beat up on women and hit women with bricks and all that kind of stuff. So whether that person was from the Caribbean or from Africa, and in the pureness of an African American culture, the pureness of an African culture, pureness of a Afro-Caribbean culture, we wasn't taught to do all of that to each other. That's not where our spirit lies. Then after we've been infiltrated by colonialism, that's when we're taught to abuse each other more. We've been inundated by colonialism and the madness that they infiltrated us with. So, paying attention to the signs, the mathematical signs, is going to be very important. So I don't agree with, just because that person's from there, that's how they are, or that person, because you can go into certain places, even in America, for people that might be FBA. They're doing some craziness in their neighborhood amongst each other. So let's stop fronting. Just like I can go into Jamaica and see that they're doing some craziness to each other. I can go to an Italian neighborhood and they're doing craziness to each other. I can go into a Chinese. That's why they got mafia and they got triads and they got gangs. They got Jewish gangs. They're doing craziness to each other. It's just because we're not paying attention to the craziness in their news. We're only paying attention to the craziness in our news, which is rightfully so, because if you pay attention to the news in our community, maybe the positive amongst us can help stop that, or keep on promoting the positive aspects so it can start filtering down and trickling down to people. So on that note, family, again, there's a lot of signs. We're on a road of life. And on this road of life, there's a lot of signs, whether there's a zodiac sign connected to it, whether there's a number sign connected to it, whether there's a road map sign connected to it. On this road, there's lots of signs, and more signs. We just got to make up our mind to face reality all the time. Got to face reality and find and bring some harmonious balance back to humanity. And the only way it starts with yourself first, then it trickles to your family next, then it passes on to your community, then it goes into the nation, the neighborhood, the community, the nation, and then it can spread. But because there's so much negativity being promoted out there, we are so caught up in only the negative and we are forgetting the positive of this thing. So signs of numbers, frequencies, yes, part of it is in my books. Part of it is in Lloyd's books. Part of it is in Florence Campbell's books. Part of it is in Jackie Levine's book. Part of it is in Chihiro's book, because no book has all of the information. No books is a part of, no book has complete information on everything. That's why I don't like when people say this is the complete guide to everything and the complete guide to this and the complete guide to that. No numerology book, no astrology book, no metaphysics book is the complete guide to it. It's giving you, it's pointing you in a direction, but at the end of the day, you have to do what works for you. At the end of the day, like people like Bobby Hammett would say, people like Brother Panic would say, people like Phil Valentine would say, people like Queen of Fool would say, people like Joe Pookin would say, you have to do what works for you. Because what works for me might not work for you. What works for me as far as numerology, turning it into numerovation, might not work for you. Some people are stuck on the negative of numbers. Some people are stuck on the simplicity of Pythagorean system. Some people are stuck on gematria. Some people might just do Kabbalah. I study those things, but that is not where I'm stuck on, because I really want to see people motivated. I really want people to say, that's why I call my system numerovation. And that's why my book, my last book, is called Numerovation for Mental Stability. Because that's what it is. If all is mental, according to the Hermetic studies, then we have to mind our mind. We have to protect our mind if all is mental. And the numbers frequency can help us to navigate better. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're joining, whatever you're becoming a part of it, study the frequency of the leaders of it. Study the mathematical frequency. I studied the mathematical frequency of Minister Farrakhan. I studied the mathematical frequency of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I studied the mathematical frequency of Dr. York El Imam Isa. I studied the mathematical frequency of Noble Drew Ali. I studied the mathematical frequency of Haile Selassie. I studied the mathematical frequency of Mother Teresa. I studied the mathematical frequency of Desmond Tutu. I studied the mathematical frequency of the Buddha. I studied the mathematical frequency, and if I don't know their birthday, I study their name. Because the name also gives off. Every letter is connected to a number. And every one of them give you a mathematical guidance and a mathematical frequency of who and what that person can be, both positive and negative. That's how powerful it gets. And that's why I have a pre-recorded course already. If you wanna get on take my course, hey, my course is online. It's 8 hours. Now there's a 2-hour course out there on Udemy. That's only 2 hours, but that's basic, brief stuff. 2 hours. But my 8-hour course, you text me, if you or go up to my Instagram, my IG, and go into my profile section of my Linktree, and you'll see my courses on the Linktree. You got the one on Udemy, which is it costs probably between $9.99 $9.99, and it costs between $9.99 and $84. But my 8-hour course is much more than that. My 8-hour course is $444 for real. And that's 8 hours. 8 hours of information. And at the end of that, and during the whole thing, I tell people you still must study for yourself. I do not take on students, I take on participants, because both of us are participating in learning how the numbers serve our greatest frequency. It's just like if you're born on the 16th or you're born on the 6th, then the prevalent number of the 6 would be their power number. 6 will be the leading number. Since I'm born on the 1st, 1 is one of the leading numbers that will follow me throughout my life. If you're born on the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 9th under a master number, those are the prevalent numbers that will follow you or not. So I'm not able to give you what patterns follow you. I'm able to alert you to recognize the patterns that follow you and then break them down on how you need to use them.
So when you take my course, which is already pre-recorded, is a raw, uncut chalkboard and PowerPoint course, it gets down just like that. And you are allowed to pay half first and then half later. And then I will send you, you can pay in increments, break it down, whatever you want to do. Maybe some people can't pay $444. Cool. But it's going to stay at that price. I did do a reduced price at one time, but it's going to stay at that price. So it right now, and it's not going to go up. I don't want it to go up because that is a raw, uncut version. And I show books, I show breakdowns, I write up on the board and I show you different things, but I always tell you to go and learn it for yourself. I always tell you to go and learn it for yourself. And go to my Linktree on my Facebook right here, on this Facebook, right? On this, not on this Facebook, on this IG. Go to my Linktree in my IG and you could find out how to book a session with me. You just have to text me your full name and date of birth and all that kind of stuff. Once you text me your full name and date of birth, that's when we start. That's when I send you the details. And if you live outside of the United States, please text me via WhatsApp. You have to text me via the number that's in my Linktree. The first tier of the Linktree, you'll see my number. It says to text me at that number. And if you live outside of the United States to book a session with me, please. And I tell people, I don't do readings. I do consultant and I advise you. I do not read people. I really don't. I don't read people. I don't even adhere to that word too much, because if you're good at what you do, you become the advisor of it and you start consulting people with it. And when the princes, the kings, and the queens had any instructions, they will always bring in an advisor, not a reader. They bring in an advisor or a consultant. And I am putting myself at that status of the kings, queens, the dukes, because if you read certain books about people like J.P. Morgan, or certain books on Queen Victoria, or the Duke of this or the Duke of that, or even Adolf Hitler, they all had advisors that happened to use astrology or numerology or metaphysics science. They couldn't just say readers. They had to say advisors. And in a cabinet for presidents and kings, there could be hundreds of advisors. But you make that they're keeping you at advisors. They're keeping you as an advisor because you're advising them on how to move mathematically, whether you're dealing with numbers, how to move strategically when it comes to war, how to be astronomically aligned. That's why people like Reagan's wife used an astrologer. That's why J.P. Morgan, according to the biography of Angelina Adams, used an astrologer. That's why when you go into Kiro's book, Victoria used an astrologer or a numerologist to guide them. And if you're doing astrology, you're doing numerology also, because in order for you to find out these things, you have to understand the mathematical longitude and latitude of a person through their name and their birthday and their time. So mathematics is a part of astrology too. Every true new astrologer will tell you, like, that's why I love what Raku does. Raku is a true cosmophysics, because he knows that there is mathematics to this. And mathematics is numerology. It's just the study of numbers and the application of numbers. That's all numerology means. We just get bugged out by what these people tell you. So again, signs of the number frequencies are happening before us every year, every month, every day, every moment, every second, every breath that we take. It's a mathematical thing. So it's a study of numbers. And once you understand this, it's blend, then you become very astute and you pick up into the intuitive part of it. And somebody called me a month ago, and I got to set up an interview with him, Morris TV. And I know he could be very controversial and all that, but I had to call him and tell him, that because he put up a picture of me and I had to tell him, I'm one of those people that I'm not coming on YouTube and all that to blast you. And I had to let him know, you don't know who I am, and you don't know what I've been through and where I've been in and what kind of ride I've been into. But he wants me to come on his show, Taharka Bay, to give a projection of what to look out for. And this is one of the projections. What I just said earlier on this live, that's one of the projections I would give him, because I got to give the balance. No matter what, you got to give the balance of the positive and negative projection that you can see, because his own teacher, Noble Drew Ali, believed in this type of science, understood this type of science. Noble Drew Ali understood this science. Elijah Muhammad taught on mathematics. So did Clarence 13X, put in Allah in the person. So did Master Farad Muhammad. They taught on mathematics. And like I said, mathematics and numerology is really the same thing. It's just that mathematics is applying the numbers. It's showing you how to applicably lose the numbers, making the numbers applicable in your life. That's what mathematics is. That's why Elijah Muhammad could say mathematics is Islam and Islam is mathematics, that it would always stand true. And you're there to use it. You got to use it to secure some money, good homes, friendships, in all walks of life. I know it's probably, I probably messed it up a little, but that is what mathematics is supposed to be used for, to secure certain things, both physically and spiritually. Both spiritually and physically. So when you're ready to do a session with me, it's much more than a life path. A lot of people get caught up in the first thing they say, what's my life path? Life path only follows you throughout your life, but the month you're born under, the day you're born under, the year you're born under also follows you throughout your life, because you can tap into any one of those energies at any time, because you are the God of this. You are the gods of this. People get caught up in, I'm born this day, I'm born that way. And I understand. I totally understand, because I was there too. But I'm here to dispel all of that. You're not going to come to me and just say, King Simon, what's my life path? No, you got much more numbers operating in the name that you're born under, in the birthday that you're born in, the month that you're born under, on the frequency, and you got much more numbers that are connected to you through your parents and your grandparents. And you got much more numbers connected to the names that you choose as a handle on IG or on Facebook or on Twitter. You adding frequencies when you do all these different handles. Then you ask yourself, why you going through stuff, and why, well, you adding frequencies that might be not going with what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be very mindful. You might add a frequency that makes you more argumentative. You might add a frequency that makes you more depressive. A lot of people don't realize the more you add certain frequencies, you can add frequencies that make you depressive. And there's people that's suffering from depression since early 2007, from the crossroads from 2020 till now, because these are the crossroad months and the crossroad years. And this is the last crossroad year we're going through, going into another form of crossroad, but in the 8-year cycle and the 9-year cycle, 2024, 2025. Guess what? That's another form of a crossroad, but that is a crossroad that's going to alert you to say, hey, who are assets in my life and who are liabilities in my life? 2024 and 2025 is going to alert you to say, who are assets in my life and who are liabilities in my life? What are assets in my life? What are liabilities in my life? And should I keep them there or should I get rid of them? Those that you get rid of, that means that's the 9 frequency that's going to start picking up in September, October, November of 2024, because 9 is the number of detoxification and removal. So if you don't learn to remove and identify who's supposed to be there and who's not supposed to be there, then you will constantly be in a loop of attracting negative Negroes or negative Wigros or negative situations or negative people or negative. You keep on attracting it.
Some women ask me, why do I keep on attracting men that abuses me and hurt me? You got to look at your mother freaking frequency. And what have you added to it? And what have you worked on? Are you working on yourself mentally? Are you working on yourself spiritually? Are you working on yourself physically? Are you working on the people around you? Are you working the people away from you that you don't need around you anymore? Deleting them out of your phone, blocking them, moving out of a state, moving from one state to another. Because everybody that says they're a brother or a sister ain't always a brother or a sister. I've realized that over my time in this planet. Everybody that says they're brother and sister, when they go under some stress, they get disrespectful and try to hurt you. Any type of stress. If they get into an argument, they start to get disrespectful and try to hurt you. Whether they're trying to hurt you verbally or socially, they try to hurt you. And you got to be very careful of who you allow in your space. I am very careful. That's why I'm to myself. I don't like the bull crap that I'm seeing out there. That's why I keep to myself. I'm keeping to myself. You know what I'm saying? And do I want to work with people? Of course I want to work with people, but I want to work with like-minded people, not Wigro minded. Wigro means white folks that's acting crazy too. Negro means niggas that need to grow up. Wigro means white folks that need to grow up. Khalid used to say that. Negroes means niggas that need to grow up. Wigros, I say that. Wigros means white folks that need to grow up, because once a white man or a black man learn to grow up, or an Asian man or a Puerto Rican man learn to grow up, then we'll understand the importance of humanity again. But we're not growing up. That's why Spanish people are attacking black people, and black people attacking Spanish people, and white people attacking black people, and black people like they're not grown up. You got all these people that says namaste, namaste, namaste. You know what namaste is? When you say a word called namaste, you know what namaste means? And most of us don't know what it means. We just know how to say it. Most of us don't know what it means. We just know how to say it. I wish Dr. B. Sirius was here and let him break it down from his perspective. Matter of fact, I might tag him in it because he comes on. But people don't realize what namaste means. And even when you go into the dojo and you bow down to somebody and say, us, you bowing down to the God energy in that person as they're bowing down to the God energy of you. We don't understand what we're saying. And yes, in the beginning was blamed for that too. But I had to change. I mean, when I was in the nightclub life, I would say a curse word every other word. Then I realized, in my formative years, I never heard cursing like that. My mother was not a cusser. My father wasn't even a cusser. If you heard, if I heard cussing, it's usually from my aunt who passed on, Aunt Marie. She cussed some clot. Those who are from Jamaica know what clot is. She'll say bumba clot, pussy clot, rice clot. She'll say all them kind of clot. My aunt, that's how I learned that cuss. And every time, and I'm just saying this because every time, our formative years are very important for children, because when my sister and I were young children, anytime we hear Aunt Marie's voice, we come running down the stairs because we know we're about to hear some choice words in a Jamaican language. We knew we was about to hear, because she's always talking about her life and she's been through a lot. Yes. And she used to carry a knife and a gun. That's how crazy my auntie was. But she was a beautiful historian of the family. When you had her, if you was in a calm environment with her, and I remember I was at the funeral, and I was at the funeral and I got up there to speak, and everybody, when I started speaking about my Aunt Marie, she had some choice words for people, because she was just, you have one of those rough aunts and rough uncles that was just out of the world that you just love to watch because they was bringing the antics. So getting back to the point is that we got to realize that a lot of the things that we're suffering from or manifesting now is some of the formative energy from early in our life. Some of the things you've seen amongst your parents, your family, your friends, your neighborhood as a child.
That is the truth. So now as we're growing up, or we appear to be grown, now that we're growing up and we appear to be grown, I'm saying it's an appearance, because when people are going through trauma, or the trauma reappears in something else, whether it's a relationship or whether it's a friendship, or whether, we start going right back to that childlike attitude and throwing a tantrum and doing all that, cussing everybody out via text, cussing everybody out via DM, cussing people out.
Content disclaimer. The views, comments, and opinions expressed by guest speakers or authors on this YouTube channel do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcasters and its sponsors. Parental guidance is advised. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachers, scholarship, education, and research. For fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed.
On Saturday, September 23rd from 2 to 8 p.m. at the Alkaline Oasis in Brooklyn, Baba Ashfrakwesi and Mirakwesi returns to Brooklyn, New York after 4 years. Get your early bird tickets right now by Texas 347-496-1022. Remember, they'll be teaching about the ancient history of Africa, Kemet, and also they're going to touch on Cleopatra. So get your tickets 347-496-1022.
Did you ever wonder if your birth date holds information about your destiny? Why you keep seeing the same number or several numbers? Welcome to Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. I am your host, King Simon. Numbers are not here to control you, they're here to give you guidance. It's time for you to be able to read the numbers. Hey, this is King Simon. Remember, make sure you go to my website, kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com. That's kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com, or Linktree at King Simon the Numerovator. Get all 4 of my books, and of course, that's the Numerovation for Mental Stability. Numbers are simple, people are complicated. Numbers are simple, children's health is important, and no promotion is bad promotion. Just spell my name right. Make sure you get them now on all my links. That's kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com. Go now. It's the Numerovational session with King Simon. Text your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. And get my books on Amazon now.
Let's go.
So remember, our job as studiers of these metaphysical, esoteric knowledge is to help enhance people to be better. I, as a numerovator, using the numbers, or quote-unquote numerals, and motivation to get people to understand why they need to activate their numbers to be their very best self and maximize it. Because the numerals hold a frequency. And if you're willing to turn up that frequency, then that frequency can help to guide you and navigate you to a higher height that will allow you to spiral to be your best self. We must remember that.